All right, so I'm going to walk through a demonstration of building an application where you guys can see some of this in action. So I'm going to build Rails new asset pipeline demo 3, and I'm going to put database equals post as equal. I'm try to type it right this time. Yes, I do need that one. Thank you. Okay. That was nice. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to seed into my asset pipeline download 3. And then I'm going to run RateDB create because I have Postgres. Oh, no, that's right. And then I'm going to generate some controllers. Okay, I'm going to generate a user's controller with an index method. And then I'm also going to generate a home controller with an index method. And open the folder. Okay. All right. So if we look in app assets and then style sheets, you'll see this application.css, right? And so this is the required tree I was talking about. Okay, so this is including all the other CSS files that are in here. I have a home CSS file that's created for me by default, and also another user's CSS file that's created for me by default. Now, similarly, in JavaScript, I have the same sort of thing. I have an application.js, which is the manifest file version of the JavaScript. Okay? We're just going to work with the CSS one. So in here, if I were to add some code, I'll go here. So I'll explain what this code does in a second. So what this does is this is actually an example of using SCSS. Okay, so when you put $green, you're defining a variable for what this color is. Okay, so I'm defining it as this #87E0FD, that like hex value, and then I can just reuse that variable to assign as a color here. Okay, so this is just one example of what you can do with Sass. Okay. Similarly, I have another color here for green, and I'm assigning for my p tag the color green. Okay. So now I'm going to deploy it to localhost. So I'm going to run Rails S. Oh. Okay, all right, so I just started the server. Now if I go to my localhost /users/index, okay, I can see that default view file and that green is showing up. Okay. So if I were to inspect this, you'll see that this color is in place. Right now, the blue is overwritten. Okay, I'll explain sort of how to deal with that later. But if we look at here, and then over here, there's this file. If I click on it, okay, takes me to sources, which is the specific CSS file that's being used. Okay, and then if I look in here, users.self, which is this one. Okay, it shows this color. Okay, so it has only at this point done part of the three things that asset pipeline is supposed to do. It has done the pre-compile step, where it converts SCSS to CSS, but it has not done concatenation and it has not done uglify. Okay, so I still have a home.css and I still have a users.css. They have not been all combined into an application.css. And that's because we're in development. Okay, so for debugging purposes, Rails by default will not combine them in development. It only does the conversion for us for SCSS to CSS. Okay, when we put it in production, then it will get combined into one file. Any questions on this so far? Okay. All right, so I'm going to put this on production, and then we can see how that looks too. So if I go to here, okay, so I think I need to run. Okay, so I first have to get everything. Get add.initialize. Then I'm going to do Heroku apps :create asset-pipeline -demo -shame -3. Okay. And then I'm going to git push Heroku master. So I'm deploying right now through Heroku. It's pretty easy. There's like a couple commands you need to run. When we do deployment tomorrow, you guys won't be doing Heroku. You guys will be doing AWS. Okay, it's going to be a lot more steps. And when you do it on the bell test, you can't do Heroku with it. Okay, you'll have to do the other one. Okay, but this is just a very fast way to get up there. Okay, so I just pushed everything. Okay, and then you can also call Heroku info if I want some more information about it. And it gives me my URL. Okay, so if I go to this URL, I go to here, paste it. Okay, and then I need to go to /users/index. Okay, I'll see my new page. Okay, so now if I inspect the element, I can click on this, and you'll notice that there is just the one CSS file. Okay, so if you look here, it's a little hard to see. I don't know if I can make this bigger enough. Yeah, okay. You guys see that? So, you know, the white space has been removed, right? Everything from both the home.css and the users.css have been concatenated into one line, right? And I only have the one file to deal with now. Okay, and then we still have this big long hash, MD5 hash, to keep track of the version. All right, any questions on this? All right, so I'm going to show you guys. So right now, the problem with our local one, right, was that even though I have this like users CSS and also this home CSS, the users one is just overriding the home CSS, right? I might, if I want to organize my CSS a little bit better, I may want to have some CSS styling that only belongs to home and some that only belongs to users, and I want to be able to delineate those into two different files. Okay, so one way to do that is you can add. Here's my code to add. Okay, you need to add to the application.html snap/views here. Okay. So remember, whenever you load a page, right, you are loading application.html.erb, and then here where it says yield, you're grabbing like say index.html.erb, you're taping this, and it's like getting pasted into this section. Okay. So anything that I modify here will modify all the pages. Okay? So I'm going to add class equals $sign equal controller controller underscore name. Okay, so this is going to grab the specific controller that I'm on and then put the name of that controller. Okay, so that becomes a class for that particular page, and then this name will change depending on which controller is loading it. Okay, and then in the CSS file, I'm going to add body.home. Okay, and then all of this is going to get nested in here. Okay, so now that will only apply to when that body has the home class, right, for the home controller. And then here, I can add a body dot users. And this will only apply to the users controller. Okay, so now if I were to load this page again, I expect this element. No, there's only this one, right? And if I were to grab localhost 3000 / home / index, I would see a different color. If I did not have that part, then I would still have seen green here. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions? Show the which one? Application.css, the HTML, looks like this.
Before you did that, how did it choose?
I'm not sure what the hierarchy. What? Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, it probably gets concatenated in that order, and then it just grabs the user's name there. Yeah.
Well, I know within one CSS file, yeah, what's down at the bottom.
The list of the files.
The list of files.
The list of the files too, yeah, because that's probably the order that it gets pulled in. We can try it.
So what's the difference between application CSS
and the what? So these are just multiple CSS files, right? It's just like if I wanted to put all my CSS styling in application.css, I could do that. But having these separate ones just lets me sort of keep it clean and organized a little bit better. So when I put one in home CSS, the intention is that the styles I put in here are for basically all the displays of the home controller. And then the users is for all the ones in the users controller. Does that make sense? I think some people look confused.
So they will create with the controller.
Yes, these are created within controllers. When we do the Rails G controller, it gets created by default. All right, that's it.